Welcome to the True Believer podcast. My name is Mike Phelan, and I am joined by
Christine Cenon. Hey guys.
and we are both writers for FanBolt.com. And to give you a little intro to who we are, Christine, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So I actually focus a little bit more on TV, writing for FanBolt. But I do have background in Marvel. Hence, I guess what started this all was an article that I wrote about Infinity War and how Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff are romantic. And I guess that caught Mike's eye. That's how this podcast started. But yeah, that's pretty much what I focus on, is mostly TV, but I do dabble a little bit here and there on movies, especially the Disney aspects. So anything Disney, Marvel, trying to do a little bit more Star Wars in the future, hopefully. But yeah.
And I've been writing for FanBolt for 8 or 9 months now. I met our editor-in-chief, Emma Loggins, on the set of Stranger Things a couple years ago, and when I was ready to finally move on from Dread Central after 11 years, I just asked her if she wanted to write her. She said yeah, so I've been writing various articles, doing various interviews for her site ever since. And as Christine said, I did see the story about Rogers and Black Widow, and I didn't buy it. So the way we started this all off was I mentioned that I wondered if she made him wear green face paint in bed, since she seemed to have a thing for Hulk that I still don't understand. And yeah, so that's how this whole thing was started, just by finding an image of a big guy in green face paint.
Yes, that is exactly how it started. It was great.
So we can really blame you if this thing goes south, because it was your article that spawned all this.
I'm sorry.
And the point of the True Believer podcast is to look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe through the lens of an actual audience member, not from somebody that cares about the politics behind the scenes, but just, is it entertaining, and what does it deliver as far as a movie-going experience? And to start off, we need to wrap up Phase 3, which is coming to an end next year. And yes, sadly. Because I think it marks a milestone of where either Marvel can continue to go up as far as their movies are concerned, or it could take a nosedive.
Yeah.
Since they're getting rid of so many core characters. My question to you is, what do you think the outcome is going to be of the conclusion of the Infinity War?
Yeah, see that? I mean, you just brought up a really good point there. My thought of it initially was just to basically a way for them to wrap up all these characters that they've started out with since 2008. So it was just their way, 10 years. So it's just their way of just wrapping up the storylines, but also connecting them all together. But to be honest, like, when I watched Infinity War, I left that theater not knowing exactly what's going to happen next. And I guess that's the point. They're leaving us in mystery. So it's just driving me crazy that I have to wait another year for it. But honestly, like, I really don't even know what I think the outcome is going to be. What do you think?
I think it's going to go one of two ways. We're either going to get, they're either going to stay the course that they did with the beginning of the Infinity War, and all these characters that you see die. There's going to be spoilers, so anybody that hasn't seen Infinity War somehow already, we're going to spoil it for you. They're either going to keep all the characters dead and use it as a segue to bring in a slew of new characters to replace them, whether they be Miles Morales as Spider-Man or whoever. Even if they somehow bring maybe if when Chris Hemsworth leaves, maybe they'll bring on someone to play Jane Foster and become the female Thor. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or at the end of it, whoever takes the gauntlet off of Thanos will use the Time Stone and reestablish the entire canon of characters. But they
Oh.
gradually just drop off as the movies continue into 2020.
Ugh. Either way, it's
Which
exciting.
there's no tactful way of just like retiring characters. So
Yeah.
they
I guess,
just ripped the band-aid off with Infinity War. Maybe that's what they really did. It's
yeah.
just shock.
I guess it's not really the Disney aspect where you can live happily ever after in a castle and, but, I guess, whatever.
But that also could spell disaster for Marvel because if you don't have the core characters anymore, in some aspect, then can you really keep the brand alive? Because I don't see Marvel continuing strong if you have no one that is a part of that Jack Kirby, Stan Lee
Yes.
stable.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
I mean, I can't wait till the new Spider-Man film comes out with Miles Morales because it might be really good.
Mm-hmm.
If they focus on Miles Morales the character and not everything else about him. If he is a good character and he's portrayed well on screen, it could be really well done. I just hope that all the other stuff that's associated with our industry just does not overwhelm it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. I agree. That trailer looked really good.
It was. I'm not sold on the frame rate for it though. The way it comes across like it's trying to be a little bit of stop motion, but
Mm-hmm.
still CGI because it's a little choppy with the frame
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have to see more than just a couple minutes of it to be absolutely sure.
Oh, okay.
And
I
and
see.
yeah, and if Sony keeps going hand in hand with Marvel like they have been, maybe eventually we'll bring Venom into the cinematic universe, and then that could spawn so many spin-off films.
That's so true.
I mean, we
Well,
could get
see how this goes.
yeah, we can get the Spider-Man Homecoming Flash Thompson with the symbiote being a special agent, and that guy could be a snarky asshole while shooting people. And
Yeah,
the,
uh,
now that the rights issues are finally being solved with Fox being acquired by Disney, we'll eventually get it all under one house. It'll all be under control, and
true,
and
true.
and maybe we can get X-Men that are actually X-Men for a change.
Yeah, maybe that's what's gonna start the next phase. Is since they're retiring all these new characters, everyone's super excited for this merge. Oh, well, I don't know, actually. Are they? Are you guys? But if you're super excited for this merge, then you're getting all these slew of new characters, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Like that's what an amazing lineup. I mean, even though I would miss everybody else, it's like that's a good refresher, I would think.
Well, I think there's this a Black Panther sequel that's going to come
Oh
out, but
yeah, right.
there's not much of a timeline between Civil War and Black Panther and Infinity War, so I don't know how much story you could fit in that time. So they have to be bringing back some of these characters, not for prequels. They have to be for direct sequels. Otherwise, it just
Yeah.
you're a little too. The writers would be too constrained
No.
by fitting between plot A and plot B.
Right. Well, you guys better listen to us and bring them back because
Um, as we saw at the end of Infinity War, Captain Marvel is the next big hero they're going to introduce.
Woo.
But
No.
but is Marvel's Captain Marvel a selling point? Is it something fans like we have to speak to normie fans. I mean, hardcore fans are going to know who she
Yeah.
is and the backstory, but to the general audience, those people that Marvel has to rely on the most money for, are they going to care about this character?
This is so true. I think a good example is when I watched Infinity War, and that end scene came on. Half of us are screaming, half of them were just kind of like, "Who? What?" And that's exactly what you just said. So yeah, I totally get it. Like there's a bunch of us that are, including me, that are just like, "Oh, dude, yeah, Captain Marvel, totally know who that is." You could just tell by the logo. You could tell by that pager. But then the rest of them were just super quiet or were just like literally questioning it out loud. Like, who, what is that? So, yeah, no, I totally get the concern.
And she's being portrayed by Brie Larson, who, up until her announcement as Captain Marvel, I had no idea who she was.
Yeah, same here. I look back at her filmography. There were some movies that she was in that I was like, oh, she was in it? And these are movies that I totally know of, like Scott Pilgrim. What else was she in? I think she was in one of the Jump Street movies with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. But
22 Jump Street, 21 Jump Street.
yeah, one of those. It was either 21 or 22. I'm not sure. But she was in one of those, and I mean, other than knowing that she won an Oscar, I don't even watch the movie that she won for. Other than that, yeah, I'm just kind of like, okay, I know the name, but I haven't really seen her in anything.
Yeah, it's hard to put acting talent with the name and then knowing whether or not she's going to work in that role. I don't know. I can't say good, bad, or negative.
Yeah.
I just kind of shrug my shoulders.
Right. And I mean, honestly, I felt that way about a few of the actors and the actors who portray the current characters now. I think, who was it that I probably didn't see in a more superhero-y vibe until that? I think it might have been Ruffalo, actually. Might have been Mark Ruffalo. And then
he doesn't really have to be heroic on screen that much, since most of the time he's a CGI Hulk.
True. But I mean, still, it's like you think about it. If you look at it, like that is Mark Ruffalo. It's like he plays the Hulk and Bruce Banner. But so at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Like, does he really? Yeah, he's CGI, but he's still doing the motions. He's still doing the sound. So it's like, is it believable though? Like, that's what I kind of thought of when I first heard of the recasting. And I was personally a big Edward Norton fan.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. I felt that because he looks very frail, so that contrast to that frailness versus the Hulk. And I kind of like the design of the Incredible Hulk more than I like Ruffalo's Hulk.
Me too. Honestly, me too. But yeah,
he's much more 60s Hulk looking.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. But that's a totally sorry.
Yeah. The and the other issue, it might be a little bit of a stretch of an issue, but both movies are coming out at the same time, or within the same span of time that would make them kind of compete with each other, is Shazam, starring DC's Captain Marvel, and then Marvel's Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
You have two characters with the same name.
That's true.
Entirely different sides of the spectrum from heroes. There's nothing comparable about them besides maybe strength and the ability to fly. But
right.
It's going to be kind of hard to say. It's like, yeah, I'm going to see Captain Marvel. Which one?
Yeah.
I really like Captain Marvel. Which one, dude?
Yeah, that's so true.
And Shazam looks so good because it's such a drastic departure from what we've gotten out of DC's cinematic universe over the past 5 years.
Yeah, I agree. It's very light. It's fun. It looks fun, which is what I'm excited for. Because I think every time I watch a DC extended universe film or whatever they call themselves now, I always feel like they're just going that dark theme, and I'm like, why do I always have to watch such a dark theme? Why does it have to be so like gloomy and like? Why can't it just be fun?
Maybe this is. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's it. Really, I mean, Marvel does a really good job of doing both, and they tend to do a back and forth over it. So it's not really always sad. You get the fun part too afterwards, just to lighten the mood a little bit. Kind of like what Ant-Man and the Wasp did after Infinity War. Like, it came out because everybody was so depressed, but then they ruined it afterwards. But still,
If you didn't stay for the after credit sequence of Ant-Man and the Wasp, you could have just left the theater happy.
Yeah, you would have been happy. You guys should have just done that.
Well, Captain Marvel and Shazam might be that crossing point where DC starts to go up as far as reception, and Marvel may go down. But I don't think we can really say until we actually get some footage of Captain Marvel, which
Yeah,
was surprisingly absent even in the biggest conventions of this year. It was
yeah,
completely gone. There's nothing
right.
to get people riled up for Marvel's next movie, which is a year away.
That's true. And that's a lot can happen in a year.
Right?
A lot can happen in a year.
Um, and there there was nothing at San Diego Comic Con. Marvel took a complete skip on it, right? Is that I
No,
think that's what I heard.
that's true. TV made a presence, like as always, but yeah, no movies, none whatsoever. I mean, it would have been nice to at least just have something, because you can't just you're really just letting fans just sit there and just like wait, and you're just like, oh, come on, you guys are always around just to do something, but they're just being so low key about it that they just don't want to disclose anything. But it's like it would have been nice if we just at least gotten Captain Marvel, at least. Like I get it, like Avengers 4 is super top secret. Like, okay, that's fine, but at least give us like Captain Marvel. There's no background to it except for the fact that it's an origin story. Familiar faces are gonna be back in it. But other than that, it's like, is that all? Like, I just want to know something or see something, just so I can get excited. Um,
And, and it's an origin story that's going to take place in the 90s. So
yeah,
if Captain Marvel shows up in Avengers 4, how how different is Brie Larson going to look? I mean,
that's
or
true.
is,
You should have
or is
ate.
she going to hand it off to another Captain Marvel? Because I can't see Brie Larson wanting to be on screen appearing 20, 30 years older than she is
Yeah,
and be the main part of the movie if that's what it's leading up to.
yeah. Unless it's like some miracle like Thor, like she doesn't age. She's happy. So
That's true. I mean, that could be it, but she's not so well known that you know these things.
yeah, exactly. That's true.
You can point to almost any Marvel here, and you're gonna know what their thing is, with the exception of like maybe Nick Fury, because a lot of people don't know that he. Well, I don't know if the version they use, the ultimate version that they use in the movies, it has the same background as the original Nick Fury, where he was. I think he had the super soldier serum, so that's why he doesn't age. But so many of
Mhm.
the main characters, you know what they're about,
Yeah.
even if you're just a passing fan. When it comes to Captain Marvel, you're just kind of like, I'm not. She kind of has a mohawk in some of the artwork I see. Sometimes she doesn't. She's got a pretty nice looking suit, but I don't know.
True, true. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of have faith because that's kind of how, not to stray away from the topic a little bit, but that's kind
Mhm.
of how I felt about Daisy Johnson with Agents of Shield. When she first got introduced as Agent Daisy Johnson, I honestly wasn't really sure about who she was, so I wasn't really too familiar with that character. Just know the name and everything, and that she was part Kree or yeah, Inhuman, whatever she is now, I guess. But yeah, like that's kind of how I felt about her. But it at season after season, it amazes me how badass she is. So hopefully that's the same kind of feeling that I get with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel later on. But like you said, like we still it's not really clear like how she's going to be presented in Avengers 4. So it's a little yeah, it's kind of iffy here and there.
You're the only person I think I know that likes Daisy slash Sky slash Quake or whatever her thing is.
I think I'm the only person who does. Yeah.
She was the thing I hated the most about that first season of Agents of Shield.
I get it. I mean, I see why, but
I can't see Agents of Shield going on much more, especially with the aftermath of Avengers
um,
Infinity War. You have to make some drastic changes that address what has happened, this cataclysmic event. So I can see maybe Agents of Shields dropping off and maybe having a season or a series finale within the next couple years, and
mhm.
then rolling rolling that cast into the movies at some point.
Hmm.
Not in major roles, but uh, you need to have your main agent back in the films because he's that human element that you needed in those films.
Right.
And he
Right.
needs his own film on its own, not his own series that gets dragged out, but he needs a proper film at this point.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's in Tahiti right now. So yeah, he's on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah, no one ever mentioned him again after his death. It was just kind of like, okay, he's dead. We'll kind of mourn him, but
Yeah.
not really.
I mean, I kind of wanted Cap to just be like, "Oh, he's my biggest fan." Like, mention him again. Like, oh, where's my fan? Where's my fanboy?
um, let's see our next talking point because we actually have. I know it might not sound like it, but we actually kind of have this written out.
Yeah.
Um, we did the brand confusion between DC and Marvel for Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
The lack of meaningful relationships in the MCU.
Mm,
Um, I look at most of the relationships that we see as completely vapid, with the exception of Quill and Gamora,
yeah.
and I think those are the only ones I can really think of because all the other ones have either fallen to the side, the actor or actress has left, and we have not yet been given a love interest for Spider-Man. He has no Mary Jane yet, so there's none of those staples of superhero relationships that get people so hooked on the books. So hooked, in fact, that people were outraged when they changed Spider-Man and Mary Jane's relationship all those, like, 12 years ago when they decided to do that A Brand New Day or whatever that was called when they were no longer together. That caused such an outrage, but there's nothing like that in the movie that would make me invested in them besides just watching them kick ass.
That's true. I wasn't invested in his. What's his crush's name? Liz? Was it Liz?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Vulture's daughter. Yeah.
yeah.
And then it was just like she was just like a one-off, and I was like, oh, what was the point of that? And then I didn't still, and then to top it all off, I didn't really understand the introduction of Zendaya's character. It's like is she like I guess she's a little weird, but I mean like at the same time, it's like what was the point of her? Like I got no point of her whatsoever. But if she's gonna be the new Mary Jane because it's MJ Michelle, whatever it is, Michelle Jones or whatever, and she's the new MJ version. I didn't get that in Homecoming. I didn't get that at all. It's like because it was so focused on Liz and Peter wanting to be that hero that he wants to work with Tony and be an Avenger. Like that's all I got out of that. But instead, it's like you got just like Zendaya kind of just wasted space. But it would have been nice to just see her more in a role that she's supposed to be. And I still don't understand it. Still don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I went through the film and I looked at all the parts she was in.
Yeah.
And if you just removed her scenes,
Mm-hmm.
you would have nothing missing from the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
That's kind
no plot development, no character development. She was just there to seem to either try to piss off fans of the comics
yeah.
by hinting at that she was Mary Jane,
Uh-huh.
and then going, no, she's not really Mary Jane, but she is MJ.
Yeah. I mean, I got pissed off. Like it worked, I guess, because I got pissed off. It's like, all right, well, there's got to be a point for you being here. So what's the point? And I still don't have that answer. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those studio decisions or director decisions that just doesn't make sense, and it's confusing to the point where it's distracting.
Yes. Yeah.
It shouldn't be, but
there's a few of those.
yeah. If we go back to the MCU, the proper MCU under Marvel Studios,
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any relationships that I could care about. I know ones I should care about Tony and Pepper.
Yes. Yes.
But their relationship gets so little screen time since Iron Man 3. And they're gonna get married, but she kind of dumps him in Infinity War, and you don't know if she survived. And Tony didn't seem to really care that much that she could possibly be dead. after everyone started turning to dust.
Oh God, yeah, that's true. I didn't even get a whole like, oh my God, is she alive? That's true.
Sorry, I killed this kid I just met like a year or two ago, but this woman that's been by my side forever, man, whatever.
No, but that's true. Like I get you because I love Pepper and Tony, but I want more of them, and I don't ever get what I clearly don't ever get what I want when it comes to the romance portion of the MCU. But that's definitely one couple for sure that I would wish that they would just spend more time on. But I mean, there's also Jane and Thor, who I love too, and I wish that that was better developed. And there's also Bruce and Betty, who Betty apparently disappeared after Incredible Hulk. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
We're gonna get no more. We're not gonna get any more Betty and Bruce. We're I think I think Jane Foster is completely written out for right now.
Yeah, it's sad.
Thor should have had Lady Sif, but she's written out of the canon because she's also a victim of the Gauntlet, and the actress just does not have time because she's got a successful TV series that she's got to be on.
True.
So that leaves us with just your predictions or your theories and my theories, which mine are a little bit more out there, but that's just because I'm just kind of a jerk. but your theory is that Rogers and Romanov are a couple, and she so easily moved on after Bruce Banner went completely missing. She easily traded up for
Easily.
another strong man who just wasn't as big
And green, I guess.
and green and angry. So where? What we didn't touch on was Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
That relationship that just kind of happens weirdly over the course of a couple movies, and no explanation, hardly any screen time, just kind of like, ooh, I like my battery operated boyfriend who can talk.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know that they're a thing in the comics for sure, and it's totally like something that one of the storylines that I actually don't mind reading in the comics. But when it comes to the MCU and them being together, yeah, it makes sense, sure, because it happens in the comics. But I think what kind of bugs me is it's not necessarily the actors who play them, because I love Lizzie Olsen and I love Paul Bettany. It's more of, I guess, that I don't know if it's, I don't want to be an ageist. Is that a word? I don't, but it does bother me quite a bit, because it's just I was introduced to Scarlet Witch as a teenager, and this robot just whisks her way in a romance that just doesn't really honestly make sense to me in the MCU wise. Like it's yeah, like it's random, like you said. It's little bits here and there, but like at the same time, it's just kind of, it bothers me. Like I always thought of Vision, like since I guess Age of Ultron, when he like I guess saved her that one point. I always from there, like even with Civil War, I always thought that they had more of a father-daughter relationship, kind of like how Steve and Wanda are. But I don't know, like I never really got the romance aspect to it, except for like little things here and there, like when they were, I guess, making pasta in the kitchen. But I don't know. Oh, they weren't making pasta. Whatever they were making. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be an ageist, but it just bugs me. I don't know. I'm looking at this little kid dating like this, how old, like this robot that was just born, but at the same time, like pretty old.
Looks like he's 40 something.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, I don't know. I don't want to be talking about the politics behind it, but at the same time, it's bringing me there. Like I just think, as much as I love Paul Bettany as Vision, I think it was just bad casting choices at that part. But then again, he did voice Jarvis, so he wouldn't have known, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I give up.
Relationship bad because Vision looks too old. That's what we're getting at.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys, but it's just that's just what I think. Like I'm entitled to think, right?
Yeah, she can have her sugar daddy if she wants to. I mean, uh,
Okay, I shouldn't say anything because technically, all right. If I get back to Steve and Nat, technically Steve is a little bit old too.
just a bit.
Just a bit. He's just 100 years old.
But how did you come to the conclusion that those two were in a relationship?
Honestly, it was mainly the framing. It was the framing and a lot of just how the scenes were with them in it. There was just something different. Obviously, 2 years has passed. For those of you guys who don't know, like, and there were some tie-in comics that came out beforehand, and I think they touched base on it a little bit in the movie too. They were on the run with Sam for 2 years after Civil War happened, and naturally, I would think that they would develop something, considering like both of their love interests are sort of gone, I guess. I mean, Bruce disappeared for like 2 years. Sharon, I don't know where Sharon went. I don't know where Sharon
Yeah,
went.
she was kind of built up to be that relationship for him, and
Yeah,
then
that didn't
after,
work out either.
yeah, she's just gone.
Yeah, and Peggy's gone, sadly. Like it's just it kind of comes organic. It kind of comes natural. But like you said, like how a lot of these couples, a lot of these romantic couples never got that foundation. I feel like they laid a foundation for Steve and Nat. It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic, but if they were to become romantic, I feel it wouldn't be as random. It would feel organic. It wouldn't feel like how I feel about Bruce and Nat. Um, so what? Like, where did that come from? Like, if you just think about like all the other movies from ever since they met and how they are now, like how close of a relationship they have now, I feel like it would just be natural. But I think when it comes to Infinity War, though, like the framing and the scenes that they were in together, like it just felt like they were a couple or something was going on. Like especially when Nat and Bruce reunited, um, if you think about the scenes that they were in and the framework they were in, Steve was always in the shot,
Hmm.
always in the shot. He shouldn't have. It should have been a close up shot, a solo shot of Nat somehow. Just looking at Bruce like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. Like that feeling like I'm seeing the love that or whatever, however she feels, my love interest for the first time in years. She should have been ecstatic. I didn't get that. I didn't even get that from her. But to top it all off, to have Steve in the shot, every shot, I guess it was just two, but I mean, both shots, he was in that shot. It's got to be deliberate. And I think there was some sort of interview or some sort of like feature that the Russo brothers did. Russo brothers are the ones who directed it, by the way. They did a feature of how, like, I think they did like framework of like the certain shots that they did with the Guardians and Thor. And they were talking about how every shot was, they do every shot deliberately. So there's got to be something. Like it's gotta be a way for them to say, like, for us, for the audience to think there's something going on between them. And also with Sam being all like, this is awkward. Like, why would he say that? Why is it awkward? I, like, why is it awkward? I get like, yeah, you haven't seen your guy in 2 years, but it shouldn't be awkward if things were still, if there was something still brewing between Bruce and Nat. But obviously it's like a one-way street now. Um,
and and they didn't really have any scenes after. I
yeah,
don't think through the rest of the film they had no
no,
scenes where it was just them two sharing dialogue. It was
exactly.
just he's back. It's awkward. We're
Uh-huh.
moving on.
Yeah, and they didn't even bother touching up on it. They could have just like ended it right there. But they didn't want to because there's more to it. So I mean, there's only one way it could go, or two ways it could go. It could go, okay, we could be together or not. But clearly they didn't even want to touch up on that, and there was no interaction with them, like you said. But yeah, to go back to Steve and Nat, like with those shots and the way they are like with each other, like the way they're fighting, the way they're like always side by side. Even when Bruce is around, it's like I don't see Nat being all like, well, let me stand next to you instead, Bruce.
Well, he was in a big metal suit, so I think it's only the
No, like
Hulk
even in the
that does it for Black Widow. I don't think she cares about Bruce Banner. I think she only cares about him when he's the Hulk.
which goes back to your point.
She loves danger, so that's probably why she was in a relationship with him. Because at any moment he could snap and just like break her like a twig.
And she has a BDS like a feel to that. Yeah, she really wants that. Yeah.
She she wants a guy that can choke her with just like two fingers. She probably has some deep rooted like weird sexual
Oh my god.
something that she can only get her gratification via danger in the bedroom. So if she's with Steve, if she's with Captain America, then she has to do something to get her where she needs to be. And that's either painting Steve Rogers up like the Hulk or antagonizing him so much that he actually gets violent. She probably says stuff like, "You're not as good as Bucky," or "Bucky could do more things with his metal arm than you could with both of your real ones." Something to get him riled up where he like throws a punch,
Oh,
and then she is just in ecstasy because that is what she needed. And I wouldn't doubt it, because I mean, how do you grow up being a spy? That's, I think she had her entire womb removed, right?
yeah,
That was
yeah,
part
she
of
was
that
sterilized.
ultra. Yeah, she was totally sterilized so she could have no relationships or committed relationships, and all she knows is killing and looking hot. So yeah, if those are the only two things you got going for you most of your life, then yeah, you're probably gonna have a little psychological issues when it comes to intimacy.
Oh my god, I'm crying.
So, so I mean, did you give that any thought when you were putting together your theory there?
Okay, well, honestly, as good as all that sounds, like to be honest, that sounds pretty good. The thing that I thought is that, like, when I watched Infinity War, Steve seemed like a really different guy to me. And he's not that soldier that followed orders that led the way he did back then. I feel like he's just totally changed, and especially with the events that happened in Civil War, he's he's just as cynical and just as like just I don't give a shit about anything anymore. Um, he has that vibe. He has that vibe now, and I felt that in Infinity War. I felt like he's totally changed. So if Nat's really the type to want that BDSM, I feel like he would totally just give it without even asking. Without even her asking at this point. Like it's totally like it flows really well. And I feel like that's not even out of character to me. When it comes to the Infinity War version of Steve, like he's like a changed man to me. So that's what I thought.
She probably gave him his first like Playboy or something, and he's like, "Oh my god, how the times have changed." I would love to see just like one of those Marvel one shots of him and her just going to like an adult bookstore and just watching his mind implode. Because
During that
you never
yeah.
you don't know if him and Peggy Carter ever got together. It was never implied.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they had the time. I mean, they,
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't getting any when he was scrawny Steve Rogers, so he probably went to that ice not knowing the touch of a woman.
no, for sure. I'm pretty sure he got the touch of the woman after the Avengers.
Well, then the first woman that he comes into contact with in like close proximity is a woman who was just there to spy on him for Shield,
Yeah, yeah, true.
and is the granddaughter was it the grand niece or granddaughter of Peggy Carter?
Grandniece, I think.
Grand niece.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, what kind of a mind fuck is that?
I know. No, really though. Like, is that the first girl that you could really like go after Peggy? It's like it's her. Oh, it's her grandniece. All right, I'm good. I couldn't have Peggy, so I get to have Sharon.
And then he doesn't get it anyway because it just Marvel doesn't really seem to care about the relationship part of it. Which
I don't think so.
if I can understand, like, if you're trying to appeal to like that male part of the audience that doesn't generally care
Mhm.
about those things, but we're so many movies in at this point that it can only be about the action for so long before we're kind of like, what else do these characters do besides hit each other
Yeah, that's
and throw
true. That's true.
quips? Yeah, and throw quips back and forth. It's great, but it's gonna get stale.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's where your theory comes to mind. You didn't talk about your theory.
Uh, are you talking about my Thor and
Yes.
uh
See, that it won't
so
fail if that's really canon.
it would be a thing that they really should do. So my theory is that Hulk and Thor have more than just a buddy buddy relationship. I think that if Marvel really wanted to make a statement, they would have Thor and the Hulk be a couple. Just because the Hulk, I think, is one of the only beings that can truly thrash Thor, and in more ways than one. So I think that I know it kind of goes against that thing that a lot of us are tired of, where they're just swapping or just like turning characters' sexual preferences on and off just to pander to whatever group. But I think it would just be a great thing to see, just because I'd like to see an odd couple movie of just them two together dealing with their weird relationship while also trying to defend the galaxy. I would really like to see a buddy comedy like that.
Up until Ragnarok, I always thought that it would have been if Pepper wasn't around, I think Tony and Bruce would have made a lot of sense too. But now that I think about what you're saying, yeah, that makes sense too. Hey, anything to me, I think that actually makes more sense to me than Bruce and that. That's all I got.
It's, I mean, why not? At this point, we still don't have any. Besides Valkyrie, which is she's been written out of the canon too. She was the only gay character, but you wouldn't know that unless you were reading stuff in the press, because Marvel
Yeah.
and Disney seem to have this way of like not wanting to mention it,
Mhm.
either
Mhm.
either because they don't want to piss off a subsection of America,
Yeah.
or they don't want to turn off their Chinese audience because they're still, a little bit regressed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You have to eventually make a stand and say, if this character is gay, you can't just say it as you can't just say it as an afterthought afterwards. You have to just, yeah, she likes women. This guy likes guys, and we're not going to just trumpet it, but we're going to show that they have meaningful relationships with other people.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. You have to put it in there, because if you don't, you're either going to eventually piss off the people that need that representation, or you're going to make it so normalized that when you eventually do it, you're going to have a huge backlash from people that are just going to say, why are you doing this, and why are you doing this now, and blah 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 blah, blah, and all that crap that goes on. Just do it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't think anybody would have figured that out either if they didn't read the press.
Yeah, it's just like
we wrote an article about it. Oh yeah, that's how people figured it out. Hey, you're welcome.
Congratulations! You just, by the way, this character's gay. Whatever.
Yes.
It's like one of our few. It's one of our few gay characters, but don't worry about it in the movie. It doesn't matter. She's gonna be gone. She's a one movie person. She's gone.
Is she really?
You need an established character that can represent that part of America, or
Yeah.
that part of the world.
Yeah.
Because right now you don't have that. You hardly have any real female characters as it is that are part of the major team. You have 4 if you count the Wasp.
Yeah.
You
True.
you have
There's another couple.
well, whoever is Black Panther's second in command. I can't remember the character's name.
Okoye?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have her, you have the Wasp, you have Black Widow, and you have Scarlet Witch. Well, Scarlet Witch is dead now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you have 3, and one of them's technically not a part of the Avengers.
Yeah, true. That's true. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, so you need, if you want to keep going forward and you want to appease all these people, you have to start integrating more and more of these things that are parts of life.
Yeah,
You can't keep ignoring them, or else it becomes a little bit unrealistic, which is odd to say considering we're talking about superheroes. But you need that representation of people who make up a part of your audience.
that's true. Well, I think that's the thing too. I think Disney in general is still just trying to figure out a way to let that in. Well, hopefully, I don't know if they really are, but I mean, I would hope so as a fan, because I'd like to see more realistic things like that too, and especially more female presentation. Um, but I feel like they're just still just trying to figure that out. But it's been 10 years, guys. You guys need to get more.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully when they finalize that deal with 20th Century Fox, they can bring in so many female
Yeah,
X-Men that are. I think I recognize more female X-Men than I do any other character in Marvel stable.
that's true. I think
Because so many more of them come to mind. I don't know if that's just from being a bigger X-Men fan than the other Marvel characters, but I can't really think of many outside of Black Widow, and that's about it for me.
yeah,
But I can think of like Kitty Pryde and the White Queen and Morgana and like all these secondary characters, Phoenix, all these other ones that were part of like the New Mutants and whatever.
yeah,
Than
yeah.
I can anyone else in the on the Marvel side of things.
No, I actually am the same boat as you because I grew up more with X-Men and Spider-Man. So
Mm-hmm.
those two alone, I think I could go with any character really and know who that is. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't grow up with all the ones that came out now, especially in the movie canons, but yeah.
And it seems like Defenders are the ones that are pushing for more female characters from the comics. Like I think in the next season of Punisher, they're getting Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary is someone that you never see show up anywhere outside like early '90s Spider-Man comics. It
Oh,
seems.
oh, I see. I didn't even know that. I need to brush up a little bit more on my
Yeah.
shows.
I,
So be
I like that they're going with obscure characters because when they translate them to film or to TV, Marvel usually does such a good job
yeah,
that fleshes them out more than being just like this one note character.
that's true. Yeah,
Uh,
Cloak and Dagger is a good example for that one.
yeah,
For sure.
that was a risk to take.
Yeah, that is a risk. But see, look at that. Like they did like all real life issues on a channel that's more targeted towards what preteens and like young adults, and they're doing like,
Yeah,
super adult issues. Like why can't they just do that in the films? Like that's easier for them to be like no honey you can't watch this. But yeah,
it's less of a risk on TV than it is on film.
really.
I think well because you have a smaller budget to deal with,
Mm,
and if you have something that does one season, it's not like totally FX heavy. It's not a big of a loss. But if you were to make a Cloak and Dagger film, and that thing were to just tank,
yeah, okay. No, I get you. I see what
then you've completely wasted that franchise as a whole.
okay.
Whereas like smaller things like Jessica Jones and Daredevil, they need TV series because the stories they tell need to be serialized.
Mhm. Oh, okay, I get you. Yeah, that makes.
Because if you had a Jessica Jones film, would you really care?
Yeah, personally, no.
I mean, I can hardly put up with her snark as it is, but I wouldn't want to see a whole movie like that. The same with Luke Cage. I'd rather know how Luke Cage improves his neighborhood over the course of 3 or 4 seasons than I would just
Yeah,
seeing him fight some big villain in one film and that'd be it. There would be nothing more to build from that.
that's true. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's true. I totally get it. That makes sense.
And I think that about sums up all our talking points we had for today. Um,
I think so. I think we did pretty well.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see when we get like 5 views over the course of like 6 months.
And yeah, we can just blame the politics because we just ended up going there. Sorry, guys.
So, uh, so Christine, I appreciate you doing this with me. We'll see. Hopefully, this works out because I'd like to talk more about Marvel films going forward. Maybe branch out into other comic book movies as they become relevant. So we'll see if DC can save itself in a year or so. But thank you again very much. And
Yeah, of course.
I had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Of course.
All right. And most important thing, where can people find you on social media?
Oh, okay. So my handles are pretty simple. I just pretty much Christine Cenon straight out. Christine with a CH. And it's Christine, not Christina. Apparently, I tend to say Christina when my real name is Christine, so it's actually just Christine. Last name is Cenon, and that's all one word. And you can find me mostly on Twitter and Instagram. I try to be a little bit more present in Facebook and Snapchat and all that stuff too. But the former are mainly where I am at.
And you can find me on FanBolt. You can find me on Twitter under Sixth Sense. That's SYXXSENSE. My website is also sixthsense.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and other things, but my Instagram's not really that interesting. It's just photo shoots I do with the models in the studio, so it's nothing really related to FanBolt at all. But either way, you can find us there. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. We won't be deleting your comments, so if you have something nice or not so nice to say, it's perfectly welcome, because we're not going to be little prima donnas about it. So that's it for the True Believer podcast. Thank you very much, everyone. Have yourselves a good day.
Bye.